Hey, what's going on YouTube? This is SCL0320. I'm back at it again for, believe it or not, a TV review. TV show I'm actually reviewing is not Arrow, it's not Flash, it's actually Gotham. So I'm long overdue for this. Episode 3, I'm sorry I took so long with it. The title of this one is Balloonman. Off the gate, coming off of the end of last episode, which was titled Selena Kyle, which I thought, like I told y'all, I like the dynamic of how Selena Kyle is her character, and I love Fish Mooney, played by Jada. She's doing an awesome job. But one of the things about it, the end of it was like, Selena was like, I know who killed like Thomas and Mark Wayne. And so I was like, oh wow, how's this gonna begin? And it starts off even crazy because you got Oswald Cobblepot or Penguin coming back into Gotham. I was like, why is he back? You know, and so I was like, this is gonna bust up everything. So it's like a big anticipational build up, and you don't know what's kind of going on. And then you get introduced by a new character, or not necessarily a villain, but more like a vigilante. This man has called himself the Balloonman, who's taking out corrupt, not just cops, but statesmen, senators, and he's killing them just because of their corruption and the fact that the police are not doing anything about it. And which it brings in line with Bruce. It equates to Bruce. Bruce is looking at this character doing these certain things, and he's like trying to ponder himself. And one of the things I liked about this episode when it comes to Bruce in this one is that Alfred was trying to like I think play with his humanity in a sense. They started out kind of sword fighting, and it was really funny, and Bruce, he got angry really quickly and then ended the fight, but they still kept the relationship kind of going until a point where you realize that Bruce was not eating. And I was like, why is he not eating, you know? It wasn't until the very end of the episode that you have this understanding that this boy has a grasping of what fasting is really all about, in the sense that he's trying to get a revelation about something. Like he's got an epiphany of what he's supposed to do, or what he wants to do. He's motivated to do something, but he just doesn't know. And when you see it towards the end of the episode, that's when he starts back eating. It's really subtly done. You don't see it underneath the bars, but it's really done really well. But going back to what was the plot point at the end of the last episode, is that Selena was telling him, well, I know who is the person. And so she meets up with Gordon at a certain point. But by this time, Gordon is also dealing with the other case. And so he's trying to figure out, like, who's the Balloonman? He shouldn't be killing anybody like this. He's a vigilante. At the same time, he can't fault him for it because he knows it's corrupt all around. I think he equates this to Barbara. But she had a real interesting scene with Montoya, which I'm not going to spoil, but you start realizing there's more of a connection with those two than you dare to really understand, which is really interesting dynamic. You can understand why Montoya is actually doing so much to kind of combat Gordon. But anyway, going back to Selena and Gordon's interaction, it was funny because Selena, I think she stole Bullock's pen, and something happened where she used that pen later on to escape something. But she's letting him know, like, look, I was here at the scene of the crime. I saw that he had the mask up, and he didn't believe her. And because he didn't believe her, like, she was like, okay, forget you then, you know? And there's that kind of mentality, is like, okay, even though, like, the ultimate Selena Kyle becomes Catwoman, she can be considered an anti-hero. Like, she can go and flip back and forth. She's gonna get personal gain, but at the same time, she's gonna try to do the right thing. And that's, even with this, it's such a weight behind the fact that she feels a responsibility to talk with the only person that she feels like she can talk to, which is Gordon. It's funny that he didn't trust her, but she wants to trust him, you know, and he kind of lets her down. But anyway, it's not as much action in this one. It's definitely a lot of deaths, and the way that the deaths are happening with these balloons is just insane. But the cinematography for this show is just beyond what I can even imagine. One of the things I regret is I was not able to go to the Gotham premiere panel at Comic-Con. Believe it or not, this shirt that I got on, this is actually for going and actually doing, what is it? Fantasia. I did the actual full game, and I tested it out, and it was really awesome. Disney-based game. But one of the panels was for Gotham. The whole entire cast were there. I was bummed. I went to something called Gotham Rising, but it wasn't the Gotham panel, which I thought. But yeah, I mean, everybody plays their role to a T. Even Jada in this one, you see with Fish that she is cutthroat, and she, in a sense, is playing things in such a way that is insane. But what everybody's been saying, and it's true, is that Penguin is really stealing the show. I mean, he's doing things without really thinking about them. Like he's a killer at heart. I mean, there was somebody that I think he started working at this place, and somebody had some shoes that he needed to have. And you can tell he's willing to kill the guy over some shoes. I mean, he killed the guy for a sandwich. And he killed somebody else for talking bad at him. I understand that. But why are you gonna kill my brother for some shoes? Just ask him. Like, hold him up, stick him up, you know? And it's funny because when he came back into Gotham in the beginning of the episode, the first thing you see, so it's not really a spoiler, he was looking at somebody getting the purse stolen, looking at people getting like beat down, corrupt cops. He was like, I'm home. And I was like, what in the world? So it was really interesting. One of the notable quotes that I would say from the interaction with Alfred and Bruce is that Bruce had asked Alfred, do you really believe he will find it? Or will you really believe that he'll actually find a clue of what's going to happen with my parents? Is he going to find the killer, you know? And what Alfred says is that it's really true and really interesting, is that I believe that he would try. And that means he puts faith in something that he knows doesn't make sense, but the ideal behind it, Bruce needs to have this hope to hang on to, you know, because I think that Bruce is trying to devote himself to trying to research and find out what's going to happen, all this kind of stuff. Really interesting. The other thing is that the Balloonman at a certain point, he interacts with Gordon and he asks him a question. He's like, ask yourself, who are you fighting for? Are you fighting for the corrupt, or are you fighting for the people? And you know, and honestly, I feel like with Gordon's character, which I like so much, is that he still is sticking to his ideals, but for him to stick to his ideals, he has to lie and cheat and seem as though he is crooked just to stay alive in the midst of it. It's like it takes a wolf to kill a wolf. I mean, Denzel Washington said it the best, and I know I've re-quoted this multiple times, but it's really true. But at the same time, at his heart, he's a sheep, you know, and he's always going to be a good person internally, but the way that he's being thrown, it's like more people are looking at him like he's dirty than anybody else. I was like, why are they pointing the finger at the one dude that doesn't see it? That's the thing that it boggles my head, is that the people that are corrupt hate him, and then the people that are semi-good are calling him corrupt. And it's like, it's such a bad situation. Eventually, I feel like his soul will start slowly disappearing, because Batman's not going to be in the gap for maybe 15 years at least. And so, I mean, he's going to be fighting all this alone. I mean, his partner he can't even trust, you know? And so it's just a really interesting dynamic. Definitely an episode worth checking out. I'm going to rewatch episode 4. I'm going to do a review on that as well very soon. But yeah, I mean, I think the final thing that I'll say is a quote that what Bruce said at the end, and this is when he started picking back and eating food. He said that he helped people, but the problem was that he killed people, and that made him a criminal too. So this boy that's gonna be a future Batman has this understanding really early, and so for him to have that on the inside of his heart shows like levels of the hero that we're gonna love to like emulate, and like it's just really awesome eye candy for anybody that understands the mythology behind Batman and the people that bridge the gap between his humanity and the force of darkness that he is, you know. And so it's a really good episode. I like this one, believe it or not. I'd probably give this episode like an 8 out of 10, maybe a 7 out of 10, just because it wasn't as much action. But I mean, at the same time, I like the small sort of stuff, like the Bruce, Penguin, and oh my gosh, the Penguin stuff. One of the things with the Penguin in this episode is that he got connected with somebody with some serious power, which I'm not gonna spoil, but just the way that he keeps saying like, this Gotham is my destiny. Like he fully believes it, and everything that's rolling in, it's like he, in a sense, is coming like a phoenix from the ashes, and it's it's really interesting to watch because he's such a crazy, insane, maniacal, sick character. But you kind of want to love him because he's interesting to watch. You don't know, you can't anticipate what's gonna happen next. But yeah, stay tuned for my review that's coming up soon of Gotham episode 4 of season 1. This is SCL0320 signing out. Look for it coming up. Later, y'all. Good night, good evening, good day.